Lila's Lighthouse Mystery. On a rocky cliff overlooking the ocean, there stood a tall, white lighthouse with a red roof. Inside that lighthouse lived a little girl named Lila and her grandpa Joe, the lighthouse keeper. Lila loved living by the sea. She spent her days exploring the beach, collecting seashells, and watching the waves crash against the rocks. But the best part of living in the lighthouse was watching the big, bright light spin at night, guiding ships safely to shore. Every evening, as the sun set and the sky turned pink and orange, Lila would sit with her grandpa in the lantern room at the top of the lighthouse. They would turn on the giant light, and Lila would watch it beam across the dark waters. One stormy night, when the wind howled and the waves roared like lions, something strange happened. Lila was lying in bed, listening to the storm, when she noticed a flickering light outside her window. She jumped out of bed and pressed her face against the glass. There it was again, a faint, flickering light far out at sea. "Grandpa, come quick!" Lila shouted, running down the stairs. Grandpa Joe hurried up to the window. "What is it, Lila?" he asked, his bushy eyebrows furrowed. "Look, there's a light out there." "But it's not coming from the lighthouse," Lila said, pointing out toward the ocean. Grandpa squinted through the rain-soaked glass. That's strange," he muttered. "There shouldn't be any other lights out there. Especially not in weather like this." Lila's heart raced with excitement. "Do you think it could be a shipwreck? Or maybe someone lost at sea?" she asked, her imagination running wild. "We'll have to find out," Grandpa Joe said, grabbing his raincoat and boots. "But first, let's check the light here in the lighthouse to make sure everything's working." Together, they climbed to the top of the lighthouse. The lantern room was glowing brightly, its light spinning steadily through the storm. But as Lila looked out over the dark waters, she saw that strange flickering light again, dancing on the waves like a ghostly flame. "Grandpa, there it is," she said, pointing. Grandpa Joe followed her gaze. "That's no ship," he said, shaking his head. "But I don't know what it could be. We'd better investigate." Lila's heart thumped with excitement. She loved mysteries, and this one was the most mysterious of all. They grabbed their flashlights, and with Paws, their curious black and white cat, trailing behind, they set off down the steep path toward the beach. The rain poured down in sheets, soaking Lila's hair and clothes, but she didn't care. The wind whipped around them, but Grandpa Joe held her hand tightly, keeping her steady. As they reached the rocky shore, the flickering light grew brighter, but it didn't seem to be getting any closer. It was as if it was waiting for them, out there in the deep. "What do you think it is, Grandpa?" Lila asked, her voice barely louder than the wind. "I don't know, but it's not safe to go out there in a storm like this," Grandpa Joe replied. "We'll wait for the morning when the storm calms down and we'll see if the light is still there." Lila nodded, though she was buzzing with curiosity. All night long, she lay in bed, listening to the storm and wondering what the strange light could be. Was it a ghost ship? A treasure chest? Or something even more magical? The next morning, the storm had passed and the sun shone brightly on the calm sea. Lila and Grandpa Joe hurried back down to the beach, Paws trotting along beside them. The flickering light was gone, but Lila noticed something new on the shore, a strange wooden box, half buried in the sand. It was old, with rusty metal edges and faded carvings on the sides. "Look, Grandpa! A treasure chest!" Lila exclaimed, running toward it. Grandpa Joe laughed. "Well, let's see what's inside, shall we?" Together, they pried open the heavy lid. Inside the box was something unexpected, a beautiful glass lantern, its sides cracked and weathered by the sea. A small note lay beside it, written in elegant handwriting. Lila picked up the note and read aloud. "To the keeper of the light, may this lantern always guide you home." Grandpa Joe's eyes widened. "Lila, this lantern, it's an old lighthouse keeper's lantern. They used to use these before the big lights we have now. This must have been lost at sea a long time ago. But how did it flicker last night?" Lila asked, puzzled. Grandpa Joe smiled gently. "The sea holds many mysteries, Lila. Sometimes things from the past find their way back to us. Maybe the storm brought this lantern back as a reminder of those who've come before us, guiding ships just like we do. Lila stared at the lantern, feeling a sense of wonder. It's like the lantern wanted to come home, she said softly. Grandpa Joe nodded. And now it has. They carried the lantern back to the lighthouse, and that evening when they lit the big light, they placed the old lantern beside it in the lantern room. As the sun set and the night grew dark, the light from the lighthouse shone brightly over the calm sea, guiding ships safely to shore once more. And Lila knew that no matter what mysteries the sea held, she would always be there with her grandpa keeping the light burning.